Stepping onto the tour bus now is our first entrepreneur, Mackenzie Ball from Branzino, Iowa.
Hello, friends. This is the 184th episode of Rock Hard Caucus, the best and only podcast that there has ever been about anything in the state of Iowa. Nothing else exists. This is all we have here. This is the only podcast anyone in Iowa has ever been on or listened to. Nothing else matters because it doesn't even exist. It is now February. Welcome to February, everyone. The worst month. And
wrong.
we're wrong? What? Is it not the worst?
No, my birthday's in February. Not going to say what date.
That's its one saving grace. Is it's the month of Evan's birth.
Yep.
We can. Thank
Otherwise,
February
it's pretty bad.
for one thing.
Otherwise, it's pretty bad. Let's be fair.
Well, okay. I think we're gonna prove that February is pretty bad. Although, the events we're going to be discussing happened in January, so maybe that's a point against January. Anyway.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe it turns around.
We are joined for this episode by our good friend Emma Denney. Welcome.
Hello. It's me. Hi.
And you have not been on Rock Hard Caucus proper before, but I think it was like nearly a year ago you were on I Hear I See Radio, the music side of this little thing.
Yeah, I think we mostly talked about Wendy Carlos.
Oh, right, yeah. But Emma, you have been driving back and forth. You live here in the Iowa City area with me, but
only city in the world.
Not with me. We don't live together, but near me. And you've been going back and forth between here and Des Moines kind of a lot recently.
Yeah, we went down a couple of days this week, and even days I didn't go down. I'm sort of in live streams and looking at stuff. I comment and sort of track a lot of the anti-trans and other like weird, gnarly, awful bills that are going through the Iowa legislature, and sort of I know how the legislator's insane website works, so I might as well use that power to my advantage.
Yeah. I've been trying to like document some of these bills as well, and it's like sometimes you can like click yourself into a loop on that website and just like get stuck.
Mm-hmm. It really is bad.
Yeah. Trying to move from the live stream of a subcommittee to the public comments on a subcommittee is actually impossible. There is you have to go back 2 or 3 steps and then go forward again.
Well, I do want to talk about like specifics of like things that you've witnessed and just the horrors of the Iowa State Legislature. But I kind of want to provide, well, this is something like a little bit more fun, but also shitty. I don't know. Just a broader thing before we get into the specifics of the state legislature. Our state attorney general,
Give him the bird!
Gotta give him the bird!
Brenna Bird, is declaring war on Costco. Have you heard about this?
I hadn't heard that because Costco refused to is woke now, right? Or again?
Yeah. So the Trump administration, they've been dropping all these executive orders and the Doge invasion and shit. And a lot of prominent American businesses are just immediately dropping all of their the facade of not being racist, basically. All DEI policies are going in the trash. For example, Target is, I guess, slashing a lot of DEI policies. And Meta, that's an obvious one. Facebook is doubling down on being one of the most evil forces in American culture.
Oh, yeah. They were really all about DEI before, They were really sincere in their commitment to that.
Actually, not to get too distracted, but I saw like literally a Nazi video like delivered to me by the Facebook algorithm this morning. Like
what?
Like a video. It had like
that's new for me.
A picture of like some guys holding a banner that said like "white men fight on" or something. And I reported it, and I got the immediate like notification, like, "Yeah, we don't care about this."
Jesus.
Every Every once in a while, I look at my Facebook recommended videos, and it seems to think that I like videos of teachers bitching about students.
Damn. Yeah, I did an experiment where I kept doing the reels that come up, don't show me this, and then refreshing it, and it was the same thing every time. And I just kept doing that for half an hour until it just showed me cats. And then I was like, all right, this is where I'd like to be.
There you go. You've attuned the algorithm now.
I did that with recommended pages for a while, and it just gives you Harry Potter fan pages eventually. That's all it does.
All right, Brenna Bird and the war on Costco. This is a PR release from the Iowa Attorney General website from January 27th. Attorney General Bird puts Costco on notice for doubling down on discriminatory DEI. So this is her office's perspective on what DEI is. Iowa Attorney General Brenna Bird today co-led 19 states in calling on Costco to end all illegal and discriminatory diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. Last month, Costco Board of Directors unanimously urged shareholders to vote against a proposal requiring Costco to report on the financial risks of its DEI policy. So this is what they're so mad about, is that Costco refuses to say that DEI wastes money.
I did some Google, and there are 3 Costco locations in the state of Iowa.
Yeah, there's one near me. So this is a very important thing for the Attorney General of Iowa to be co-leading a coalition of 19 states. It's very important that Iowa be at the top of that list with our 3 Costcos.
She loves to jump on those coalitions. I feel like it's all she does.
Oh, yeah, totally. She's constantly chasing press. She wants to be on Fox News as much as possible. And here's a quote from Brenna. "It's time to ditch DEI. While other companies right the ship and abandon their illegal woke policies, Costco has doubled down. I'm putting Costco on notice to do the right thing and eliminate discriminatory DEI. No American should be denied an opportunity because they don't fit the woke mold." So she used woke twice.
What the fuck are these people even talking about? This is ridiculous.
So I guess what DEI is doing is it's denying opportunities to non-woke people. That's what this says.
They literally believe that.
They do, right? The subcommittee for HSB 52, the Terry Branstad one that I went to, he was just you all are insane socialists.
Yeah. Let's give me 1 second and then we should talk about the Terry Branstad thing, because that's exciting. So there is an attachment here of the actual PDF that these state attorney generals sent to someone at Costco, the CEO of Costco, Ron Vacris, I guess. And I mean, it's the same bullshit. It's woke is illegal now. Please follow the law. But the file name of this PDF is all caps final Costco Lettet. There's a typo on the word letter. It's a T instead of an R. And then in parentheses, 1.pdf. So it's those jokes about somebody a writer working on their thesis where the actual file name is final thesis parentheses 2 real final
revision 3.
I think the document I eventually submitted for my dissertation was called final _ seriously _ I'm serious this time parenthesis 3.
Costco Lettet. That's why I really wanted to bring this up, was just for that fucked up PDF file name. So now we can talk about the real stuff. Emma met Terry Branstad this week, former governor of Iowa.
I did.
What do you think of Terry?
What a strange man.
Yeah, for sure.
I hadn't. So my backstory with Iowa is I was born here, but we moved when I was 2 or 3, so I didn't grow up here until I moved back in my 20s to do my PhD. But he was apparently the governor when we lived here before in the early 90s. And everyone's like, yeah, he used to at least be normal. Like, apparently this is some, like, he wasn't on this tier of nonsense before, in my understanding. Although he was like, he became, right, but people were so differential to him. Everyone was like, it was like I grew up in DC for the most part, and like sometimes you'll run into people, right? Like, and it seemed like the way DC people talked about seeing Ruth Bader Ginsburg at the coffee shop or whatever was like, oh my God, it's Terry Branstad. It's like, this is wild.
I mean, I don't feel like I've seen any news about him like putting his neck out for state legislative bills over the past few years. I do think this was like an anomaly for him to weigh in on this. And
it was also very strange. So they let him sit in on the committee, like he was sitting there with the committee, and like he took comments from people and he read the bill, like introduced the bill and all this. It was profoundly strange.
That is odd. Like he's not in the government anymore.
No, he's just a guy.
Yeah. So the bill he was weighing in on, I think he said it was House Study Bill 52. There is a Des Moines Register article about this because there was a lot of discussion on this week. This is regarding the formation of a school of ideological freedom at the University of Iowa.
Jesus.
Yeah. It's just like we need a propaganda arm of the state government at the University of Iowa. So
Right. Yeah, it's like a 5-page bill here, and it's the state legislature saying, "Hello, University of Iowa, you must establish a school of intellectual freedom." And I guess that's very important to Terry Branstad for some reason. And to go on what you were saying, like he used to be normal, I think that like there was just sort of like an aversion to confrontational politics in Iowa prior to Trump.
Yeah.
Like everyone was kind of like, yeah, we're chill, except Steve King. Everyone else was like, we don't feel too strongly about anything. And then Steve King led a revolt against the legalization of gay marriage, and that's when everything kind of became a little more heated around here.
Everyone became insane.
Pretty much, yeah. So you witnessed the discussion of this bill. What is it they want exactly? Why a school of intellectual freedom?
So they believe that, to quote Terry, all University of Iowa professors are socialists. He said this in the hearing.
That would be nice. I mean,
right? Yeah, well, there was a back and forth on this one. But essentially, they feel like there was an executive order about like patriotic education and things like that. That this is very much in line with. They sort of like don't feel like American values or a positive American history or any of this, inane bullshit.
I remember that coming up last year in the legislative session, too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because when they were talking about the DEI stuff that they passed last year, it's the similar thing, except there's now a whole committee that just does this. This is the Higher Education Committee.
It's the job of an educational institution to instill a deep respect and admiration for the foundation of the United States of America. That's important,
including its documents. And it's just like if you if you don't think John Adams is cool, you have no place in academia.
Was there any evidence presented regarding all professors at the University of Iowa being socialists, or was it just accepted as a matter of fact?
He said it in response to my comments. So 2 people spoke on this bill, which is myself and another sort of Iowa City person. I said, I'm trying to remember what I said. I'm thankful to Iowa Capitol Dispatch who posted my remarks.
Oh, nice.
So that I can remember them.
Yeah. One of the best news sources in the state, actually. Capitol Dispatch.
Yeah, for just getting this nonsense. They're great. I called the bill pointless. I said that I find it laughable and a ridiculous waste of money, time, and resources, and I find it ideologically motivated and pathetic. And then went on to just be like, you're attacking everything that you say is DEI, but you actually just mean like black people and trans people and women doing things and having jobs. In response to that, he said, no, you know what you believe? And I said, you're going to tell me what I believe? And he said, these University of Iowa professors, they're all woke. He didn't say woke. It was like, they're all socialists. And I then responded, I don't know. A couple of them called me a faggot. They seem pretty pathetic. Which the room got rowdy. It was all a bunch of like young Republican types. Like there were the normal staffers, and then everyone else in the room was like a kid who's borrowing his dad's khakis.
Oh man. We saw so many of those guys at the Iowa State Fair when we were looking at all the
what I
freaks.
was thinking about. Those guys that we overheard talking about like pathetic childless adults or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're quoted in the Des Moines Register as well. Exactly what you just said, but there's also that's a different study, Bill. So we should stay on the Terry Branstad thing and you saying the F slur. Are you allowed to say that during these hearings?
This is the second time I have brought it up talking about DEI. So I spoke at the subcommittee on the DEI, the like big DEI bill last year. And brought up like, I had an incident of getting homophobic and transphobic remarks from faculty at the University of Iowa. And it's like, and I was able to get support from like an office at the university who thinks I'm not insane. And I think that's cool.
And that's that's DEI is like an employee of the university being harassed basically by a superior, and like there being some kind of follow-up potential consequences for something like that happening. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's so it was, I was jokingly referring to something that I'd referred to seriously last session.
Okay. So people who were in on it, like they got that this was a callback.
Yeah. If people are following, if people have been watching since last season, they'll
it rewards patient viewers.
Yeah. Much like my Instagram, it rewards patient viewers. Yeah, so there was that, which wasn't an issue, but then the other person who spoke said that something along the lines of Terry, like, didn't have the balls to say what he really believed, and they got called for saying the word balls. And
wow.
Jesus. These people don't even really care about intellectual freedom.
They had insulted his character, right? But like in a deserved way that was low. It's very funny. I don't know.
So if you had called him that word that I'm not allowed to say, maybe you would have got in trouble.
If I called Terry a faggot.
Yeah, I guess it's intellectual freedom for some, but not others.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And this is serious commentary. I spoke on another one of these. HSB 54 or 53. The one that's like you can't require anyone to take a women's studies class.
I believe that's 53. Yeah. Yeah, prohibits Regent universities from requiring students enroll in DEI courses or any courses that teach critical race theory.
Or gender theory.
Yeah, that's not mentioned in the it's not mentioned in the Register article. But yeah, it seems like they're focused more on the race thing in the actual bill. But yeah. Is that even a problem? Like, are there schools, like Regent schools, that are requiring students to take like gender or race studies classes?
I think potentially at the graduate level, you can be required to take a critical studies class if you're studying like American history.
Okay, and God forbid that somebody,
which they're already trying to. They're like already trying to shut down the Department of American Studies. So I like don't understand what this does, right?
Yeah,
the Regent's already doing that.
God forbid someone takes a single class that's critical of anything about the American Empire.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly the point. And this is what I brought up in my comments. It's just like, what are you afraid of? Well, we know exactly what they're afraid of, right? But it's just like, why not let people have access to information unless you don't want them to have the information?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's very dangerous for people to know things that I don't like them to know, that may alter their behavior in certain ways that are detrimental to me continuing to have power over them.
Detrimental to me, Steve Holt.
Oh yeah, this is a Steve Holt led initiative?
There was a Steve Holt joint. Yeah, he was on the subcommittee for that one. Man who looks like a Goomba from the live action Mario Brothers, which I always forget. And always throws me when I see him. It's just like, wow, what a strange man.
Yeah. I don't think
I've happened to you in your life.
I haven't heard that comparison before, but that's a good one. He does look like one of those.
That's very good.
Weird reptilian guys in a suit. I mean, I hate to use this term, but this is very Orwellian, that they
are
like
the same thing. Exactly.
Establishing a school of intellectual freedom, which is like the intention is to limit the scope of what you are allowed to teach students about America.
All dissent.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, and it's what's been really frustrating with me in all this week is like, we know this, right? We know that this is part of this national effort to change the education system and to sort of like instill a particular ideology at every tier of how like America functions structurally, right? Mm-hmm. And we know that all of this stuff is like speaking duplicitously when it is even speaking at all, right? And so, but saying that doesn't do anything.
Right. Mm-hmm. It doesn't stop them from doing it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't say that to Steve Holt because he'll just say, "Well, actually, I'm not racist. You are the racist. I have submitted an article that says that you are the racist."
Here's a quote from Terry Branstad about this.
Uh-huh.
The future of our country is dependent on citizens who are well informed and cherish and celebrate the American heritage. That's something I think is really important for our country, especially in this day and age when we see a lot of concern and a lot of lack of respect for other viewpoints. Emma, did you feel respected when you shared your viewpoints at the Iowa State Capitol this week?
I sure didn't. Would you believe? I have felt more disrespected at the state capitol, I will say. But I didn't run into Jeff Shipley that day. So
yeah, I guess you and Jeff have a history.
He's been quiet.
Yeah. It's true. I honestly think that the way that he was criticized and ridiculed last year may have impacted his willingness to like put himself out there in the same way this year.
Yeah,
because
all of his bills are like the
back.
margarine one and trains.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking. I forget who I was talking to the other day. It was just like, is Jeff Shipley just a foamer? Is he just a train guy?
I'd much rather he pursue that special interest.
Right.
Yeah, right. One of his bills was just
rail.
like, but his bills are more just like, if you get hit by a train, they should pay you for that. And I was like, I mean, yeah, they probably should. You're right.
Yeah. I mentioned it on a recent episode, but yeah, it seems like his train bills have the right idea, and I salute him for that.
Yeah. Train bills, free coinage of silver.
Oh, yeah.
I actually,
I respect an insane grind, though. Like, I respect that kind of hack. Like, at least you have a bit.
Speaking of silver, let me bring this up now. There's a Senate File 112, which I found because Sandy Salmon is involved with it, and so is Shipley. He's one of the sponsors of this. This is an act relating to the establishment of a transactional currency based on gold and silver held in a bullion depository approved by the treasurer of the state.
wait a second, haven't we tried this before? Haven't we done this before? Isn't it like a huge disaster? And like we kind of had to change everything about it, like to get rid of that idea.
We're trying to establish in a state of Iowa gold hoard.
Yeah.
What is the purpose of this?
I am the dragon Smaug, and I will.
Yeah. Yeah, I
well,
mean,
it's not even that. It's a currency based on gold, which, I mean, yeah, they
What
kind
if it
of.
ends up just being crypto? What if this is the state government doing a rug pull for crypto?
It wouldn't be that surprising.
We're going to call it bullion, and it's going to be based on this weird gold blockchain, and then
At least then it might be one token per bill or whatever. But I mean, I don't know where they're getting where they're going to buy all this gold to insure those bills.
Yeah, this is wacky. So I guess I didn't quite understand that. They're trying to establish Iowa's own currency.
I guess.
Yeah. Like it's the Civil War.
Yeah, we're preparing for some sort of dissolution of the United States, it sounds like.
It could be cool.
I did like the tiniest bit of research on this, and Texas is the only state that has done this already. They have their own gold depository. And, you know, they have a fetish for secession, so it seems like that's the idea.
Yeah, right? If anyone would do it. But, like, Iowan secession is particularly funny. Mm-hmm. Like, there's there's another, like, Iowa... I think it's another of Jeff's bill. There's, like, a state sovereignty.
Yep. I saw that one.
And it's just, like, we don't have a port.
Yeah.
There's some really unavoidable constraints to our self-sufficiency and sovereignty.
Yeah, we're the donut hole of the United States.
Unfortunately, we have to rely on some neighbors to get anything really. We can't. Yeah. Another bill or a couple of bills that are mentioned in this Des Moines Register article. I should probably mention that by name. Marissa Payne's article. University of Iowa School of Intellectual Freedom among bevy of GOP's bills battling woke. And so a couple of other bills mentioned in the War on Woke article is Senate Study Bill 1024 and House Study Bill 50, which have been dubbed the Workforce First Act. Mm-hmm. And that title alone is ominous to me, but what does that mean? Did you witness any hearings on this one, Emma?
I did. I think HSB 50 I went to, although I'm tracking 1024. So this is basically, in my understanding, trying to do a lot with the Iowa tuition grant and how Iowa decides it's worthwhile to give you money to go to school and what they consider worthwhile degrees to be. There's a couple of bills that reference the term workforce preparedness and things like that comes up. If you search these bills with the term workforce, it's all over the place. But effectively, they're trying to say what are the highest earning, most needed jobs in Iowa, and then we're only going to give money to people who study those things and pursue those jobs.
Okay, so the purpose of education is to just get a job, be a good little employee.
The purpose of education is to get a job the state wants you to.
Right, yeah. It has to be a good job, according to their standards.
Yeah. And then, right, so you look at that and you're just we sure need a lot of OBGYNs and, mental health professionals in Iowa. Are we going to do anything about that? No? Nothing.
Yeah, we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot when it comes to practicing medicine in the state of Iowa. Lots of people don't want to come here and do that because there's extreme liability if you happen to treat, maybe a person who's pregnant. There's a lot of liability there that people don't want to get involved with.
Yeah. But yeah, there are a number of these bills that are looking to restructure how they fund or how the Regents universities treat degree programs. So how they so for example, I got a music degree from the University of Iowa. There's no way that program gets much funding through this. By design, we are going to strip funding from things we don't feel support Iowa's workforce needs.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, you and I are living proof that getting a music degree does not support the workforce needs of the state of Iowa. I mean, we're on a podcast now. We can't be productive members of society.
I mean, they don't think I can be a productive member of society for like 4 other reasons. But
I've got a quote from you in the Des Moines Register, if you don't mind me reading it.
Please.
So you mentioned to this committee that part of your research regarded use of digital community archives and resources traditionally excluded from academic institutions, including marginalized groups whose resources were destroyed. And you said about this, that doesn't provide a workforce need, but it is fundamental to how we understand ourselves and the world and how we can learn from our history. I think using this singular workforce goal to do this study is misguided. This is asking for a huge study of every single course offered by every Regents university with basically no guidance.
That bill's less than a page long.
Jesus.
That's been a trend too.
Yeah, the bill just says, "Yeah, go do it."
Yeah, their massive education reforms are also like impossible to actually accomplish because there's no like who's supposed to be doing this and like with what guidance. It's insane.
And to that point, someone from Iowa State came up and spoke at that. We're just like, we kind of do this already. We do it on a different timetable, but this exists. You can go look at our data already. We don't need to do this. Yeah. There's an interesting, so you can look at, so the Regents register in the support or opposition of bills. They're a lobbying group. If you look at lobbyists' information for bills, and the ones that the Regents are undecided on, are registered undecided or uncommitted on, are like that is them saying like that is what the Regents are afraid of, are those bills. Which
that's
as someone who brought because they can't say they don't support it, right? They are state appointees from Kim Reynolds and all these people. They can't say they don't support this legislative agenda. So like the most serious they can be about something is uncommitted.
That's interesting. Like I would assume that like they all are in the same conversations about this, like behind the scenes, but they're just proposing shit that's like completely unfeasible that not even the Regents want to like actually enact.
Yeah, basically. And like, don't get me wrong. I hate the Regents, especially the University of Iowa. Caucus is going into negotiations for their contract in, I think, next week, right? And the Regents are awful about how they treat everyone who works at universities, but especially graduate workers. But some of these even go too far for the Regents.
I'm very surprised to hear that. Here's another one we haven't mentioned yet, House Study Bill 63, which there's a couple paragraphs here very interesting. And I believe this is the fault of Representative Collins, not one that I'm familiar with, Taylor Collins.
So Taylor Collins is the guy on all of these education bills. So I think he's the chair or the co-chair of the higher ed committee.
Yes, chair, according to the Des Moines Register.
And it's very funny. I had a conversation with a guy I have deeply mixed opinions on, Adam Zabner.
Oh yeah.
Let's get into those opinions.
Yeah.
Let's give them out bluntly.
In a second. But who basically said like he thinks that all that Taylor Collins does at night at home is like stare at the wall and try to think of what would be kind of funny to submit tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. Which is kind of how I felt about some of Jeff Shipley's proposals in the past.
Yeah, they are. So the vibe I get is they're the two most like Twitter brain dead representatives.
Oh, Taylor Collins is one of those like really young guys. I just looked him up.
Yeah.
He's 29
a guy who,
years
like,
old.
Yeah, he's younger than me.
Jesus Christ. Get out of there. Do something better with your life, man.
Like playing TF2 and getting, like, go do something, like literally something fun with your life.
It makes sense that he's so focused on like sabotaging college because he just got out of college. So he's like, man, I hated my teachers. I want to make their lives harder.
Literally, I'm sure that's part of it.
Like, yeah, like, you know, university abolition and all that stuff, right? But like, not like
this.
Not like that, right?
Wait, what was I saying about Collins? I wanted to talk about House Study Bill 63.
HSB 63.
Yes. Yeah. Which would require the regents to establish no more than 40 hours of general education requirements for undergraduate students, including courses on Western heritage and American heritage. And the bill also requires the regents to adopt a policy stating that any general education course does not teach identity politics or the theories that systemic racism, sexism, oppression, or privilege are inherent in the institutions of the United States of America.
Sure do, again, real intellectual freedom.
Right. I mean, look, it's objective fact that at the very least, systemic racism was inherent in the lives of the guys who established the government of this country. Like, they had fucking slaves. You can't really avoid that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It always raises my ire when they say heritage instead of history. It's like, what are you getting at here?
Yeah.
Well, right, heritage is like because like heritage has family, right? Heritage is a word that ties back into the whole, like, you know, if you're not the right kind of person, this isn't your country.
Right.
If you're part of the heritage or you're outside of the heritage, and the people who are part of this heritage are the people that must be uplifted and revered. And anything criticizing
and there's no privilege there. There's no privilege in that at all.
Right.
No,
yeah.
of course not.
Anyone criticizing the system that upholds and reveres the people who do fit inside of this narrow vision of what our heritage is, anything criticizing that is an enemy that must be eradicated.
Yeah.
This sounds pretty fascist now that I put it in words like that.
Yeah, right. Like the fundamental fascist idea that authority is what dictates truth, right? Like,
Yeah, it's history being written by the winners, unfortunately.
Here's a quote from Representative
they're all
Collins.
losers. They're all the saddest men. Sorry.
Yeah, we can win. I mean, these fucking people suck.
A quote from Representative Collins regarding this bill. I believe that as a students picking out their general education courses, that they should be able to ensure that they don't have to take any classes on identity politics. So I think that a way to do this would be like when a student sees the course catalog, there's sort of like a warning label next to classes that include any sort of wokeness. Or maybe
the Surgeon General's warning?
Parental warning.
Yeah.
Tipper Gore style.
Yeah. Like on a CD, that thing. Or maybe when you're hired at an educational institution in the state of Iowa, you have to take sort of like, there's like an entrance, not an exam, but like they figure out where your head's at ideologically. And if you meet a certain level of wokeness, you have to wear like a badge anytime you're at work. There's like a symbol on your shoulder indicating this is a woke professor. Take what they say
Perky
with
the
a grain of
Hawkeye
salt.
has you like chained to a polygraph machine, is forcing you to just, are you woke? Hits you. Are you woke? Hits you.
And there's it's like a probationary period. And like once, until you have sort of passed the re-education course to become a
productive member of faculty.
Sure, yeah, non-biased, all wokeness has been cleared, then you have to wear the little badge. This is probationary faculty. Still potential wokeness still within. There was a bit about community colleges in here that I wanted to mention. Community college could have faced the same DEI restrictions under one proposal, but Collins tabled his own bill after Des Moines Area Community College announced it would pause its DEI efforts in the face of growing state and federal limitations on DEI programs. So basically, DMAC complied in advance, and so the bill is no longer moving forward.
Well, shout out to Des Moines for making sure that you, Justin, can still be woke. But
yeah.
The rest of the community colleges,
it's all good.
Woke as hell.
Yeah. Des Moines really taking the bullet on that one. Yeah, well, right, because so what is starting to happen is last year they passed all of this anti-DEI stuff for Regents universities, right, for state-sponsored universities. Mm-hmm. And they are now trying to do the same thing for community colleges and private universities, which poses, the private universities actually poses a fairly interesting issue for them, which is, so previously they've had this thing where basically all of the Regents universities are in blue districts, right? You know,
sure.
If people at the University of Iowa have a problem, they have to take it to a Democrat who isn't going to get anything done and can't like effectively advocate in the structure, right? Mm-hmm. Tons of private universities are in red districts and have support of those districts. So they're like struggling with these private colleges because like this then actually affects their constituents for once.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah, and there's one Republican legislator who like is a former teacher. I forget his name at the moment, but he's been like the one voice of dissent on some of these bills. There's if I can find his name, I'll insert a clip of me saying his name right here. Tom Moore.
I also don't remember his name.
Emma, did you hear that one of the state legislators died suddenly?
No, who?
It was yesterday morning, I believe. Martin Graber passed away.
Oh, suddenly. Whoa! Hold on, I'm tracking a thing he wrote. What did Martin? Hold on, he was like doing stuff.
Yeah, he like I think it was a heart attack. He suddenly died yesterday morning. The final thing with his name on it was like a resolution reaffirming the state of Iowa's support of Israel. So that's like
again. Do something better with your life so you don't end up like this guy, and that's the last thing that your name is attached to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. For this to be the final achievement of your life is a pointless Iowa State Legislature joint resolution. I don't think it's a joint resolution, but it just saying like, yeah, we like Israel. We don't care about all that other woke stuff. We think they're still good.
Well, there is a bill. So which one? It's in the state government committee, I think, or no, it's with the only higher ed bill that isn't one of these, like, I mean, Collins is the author, but it has another author and it's like actually horrifying, is HF 115. If you haven't seen this one.
I don't think I caught that one. No.
Which, using its language, prevents students, faculty, or staff at Regents universities with, quote, certain non-immigrant visas from, quote, espousing terrorist activity related to an ongoing conflict unless it is the policy or practice of the United States, and threatens to suspend them and fire them and report them to Homeland Security.
Whoa. Wait, what was that clause about unless it is the policy of the United States?
Unless it is the policy of the United States. So, you know, like back when, you know, let's take a historical example, the brave Mujahideen fighters,
right?
You know, would have been totally fine, except.
So, yeah. If you are, if we could potentially deport you, you're not allowed to be critical of any foreign policy. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially if it involves terrorist groups, which that one of the executive orders is just trying to be like, the drug cartels are terrorists, right?
Right.
All of these groups who we have decided are un-American or are targeting America, whatever the fuck, are terrorists, right? And it's going to then, right? A lot of these have, like, if you listen to Steve Holt, especially, has been doing this of like treating executive orders like they are the law in Iowa and using them to justify all of these decisions.
Yeah, and in fact, I think I just this morning saw a news story that there's a bill in Tennessee to make that like somehow more legal. Like a state bill would say, yes, executive orders actually are the law of the land. Like they hold more legal weight than they do. So that's part of the national plan, I guess, is to place executive orders over any like act of Congress or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the same thing, like putting Elon Musk in charge of like cutting all these government employees and stuff. It's just like unelected people just running roughshod over whatever institutions we have left. It's fucked up.
Yeah, it is. That bill is actually in subcommittee next week. That's on the 4th of February at 8 a.m. Jesus. Okay. That's technically, I think they technically aren't in session until 8:30. I think that's literally the first thing of the day.
Fun. Yeah.
Jeff Shipley's on that subcommittee if anyone wants to go bother Jeff.
J-Dog.
I forgot about J-Dog.
Yeah, J-Dog was me. I'm going to come out here. J-Dog was me.
Oh, okay. Hell yeah. Good job.
But like I send him dog emojis periodically still. just to remind him.
So that's why he's being better behaved now.
Yeah,
he's
thank
gone
God
through
he isn't a University of Iowa
school.
police officer.
He's leashed. By the way, I'll be sending Emma some gas money since she keeps driving to Des Moines. So if you'd like to support the continued efforts of Rock Hard Caucus paying our guests, check out patreon.com/rockhardcaucus. I don't want to focus only on like super horrifying actions of our state legislators this week. I also want to poke fun at the like really stupid ones. Aside from establishing a gold hoard, that one we already talked about. Well, we should talk about the casino stuff. Did you hear any talk of a casino moratorium while you were over there?
This was going around. I've been seeing Amy Wichtendahl's been posting about this a bit, and so I've been like seeing her thoughts on it, but not too much.
This is an interesting one because it's not exactly like a partisan issue. It's more like territory based. Like people who live in districts that already have a casino are like, yes, we must do a moratorium on casinos. And then the representatives of places that don't have casinos yet are like, well, we should let the voters decide on whether they want a casino. So what was Amy Wichtendahl's position on this?
I think my understanding is that she is anti-casino.
Okay. I think that's where I lean on this. I don't think we need more addiction machines. I don't know. What would you call a casino?
Yeah, I mean,
ruining people's lives factory.
Addiction machines that sometimes host touring country artists. So
yeah.
Oh, that's true. That would make our music degrees more valuable if we had more potential venues.
We have to work. We're doing workforce optimization for the University of Iowa School of Music.
If you guys can promise that the casino you build will book noise artists, I'm all for it. I will lobby in favor of it.
Hey, I know Scott Stapp played at the Wild Rose Casino, so that's a big point in Justin's favor.
If we can get more Creed gigs in the state of Iowa, I'm all for it.
Whenever there isn't a Creed show happening, people should be saying, "Where's the Creed show?"
Okay, another a stupid bill that I want to talk about. The potential casino moratorium was House File 144, by the way. But House File 153 is a lot of fun. To quote the bill itself, this is a bill for an act requiring Iowa State University and the University of Northern Iowa to reestablish men's baseball teams that qualify for participation in the National Collegiate Athletic Association.
What the fuck? Is this just a plan by the University of Iowa so they have like some patsies to beat up on?
I'm surprised they didn't call it like the Field of Dreams Act or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if they do a further push for this, they're going to have to brand it that way. Like, is this not government overreach? Like, you have to start a baseball team now. Like, why is this a concern of government?
Well, I am now desperately forgetting which city the University of Northern Iowa is in. It's in Cedar Falls?
Cedar Falls. Yeah, Cedar Falls.
Yeah, okay. They love baseball up there. It's baseball, God's own country, Cedar Falls.
Our friend Will Yeager's a big baseball fan, and he's up there now, so that would be good for him to have a local team to watch.
We'll have to get Will down there to speak on the bill.
Maybe, because it's America's pastime, this is in line with all the, Western civilization bills and stuff. It's just we need to make baseball more popular
This
again.
is your heritage as an American.
Yeah.
It is part of, promoting American heritage in our Regents universities. This was
Mm-hmm.
Skylar Wheeler. He was responsible for that one.
He's another Twitter guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I do have one good bill. I have a good bill to highlight.
Is there a good one? I know I've seen one good one also, so I'm curious which one you have.
Well, it won't pass, but it's House File 158, sponsored by Representative Crokin. Mm-hmm. This bill relates to county and city regulation of rental housing and federal housing choice voucher use. So basically, you know what? Let me read this verbatim and see if you can follow all of the double and triple negatives. Under current law, a county or a city shall not adopt or enforce an ordinance or regulation that prohibits a person having the right to lease, sublease, or rent out a dwelling unit from refusing to rent out a dwelling unit to a person because the person is using a federal housing choice voucher. So let me see if I can put that into a sentence that makes sense. A city or county cannot adopt a law that would prohibit the landlord from not renting to somebody getting a federal housing voucher. So, the state
so that's
good.
Yeah, I guess that's good.
Yeah, so this is a bill to get rid of that, meaning that cities and counties could pass laws that landlords do have to accept federal housing vouchers. So this bill is good. The current state of things is bad, because landlords are allowed to discriminate in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So shout out to Iowa Representative Crokin, Ken Crokin.
Yeah. Why are they all named like this? Why do we have Heather Hora and Sandy Salmon and Ken Crokin? What happened? Is this what the farm runoff does? Is it makes you name your kids alliteratively? It's
Oh, we haven't mentioned Sherry Lynn Westrich yet today.
No, we haven't. Oh, God. Worst bill so far.
Yeah, that's the dead naming bill, right? Was her thing?
Well, no. Westrich is on the bathroom ban.
Yeah.
Yeah. The dead name bills were Green and Hayes.
She should have been on the rental housing one because she was in the rentals.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, she should care about renters.
Yeah, we would like her a lot more if she did that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that song singable? I've never actually heard it. Is it could people show up to the Capitol and do a bit on that song and have it read?
I would guess that the audience of the state legislators probably would not get it.
Yeah, they don't think they would understand.
I would love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's like a backup vocalist on the first Rentals album, for anyone who has not been listening to me rant about that in the past.
Yeah, but she introduced SF 156 this week, which is a state trans bathroom ban for Iowa. It's pretty in line with the other bills like this we've seen, and it doesn't have a subcommittee yet. It's the weekend, so they wouldn't have done any work on it, and it didn't have one yesterday. Yeah,
sure.
There isn't a subcommittee on this yet, so no idea if this is going to move forward, but it's pretty concerning. It does a lot to target trans people in public life, especially it targets pretty much a really broad definition of state facilities, which might just include Regents universities and would include things like the community center downtown in Iowa City. Right? Because it is technically a county operated building, and it considers county as part of the state.
Oh wow, okay, yeah, that's that is pretty broader than I expected.
It's the broadest
definition.
Exactly. This is so it's interesting what the little language things, and you can see this on a national level, all the little language things in the executive order, like what they actually do, right? So there was the bit that everyone was joking about, like, haha, you accidentally defined everyone as woman, but it actually just like the little bit that's in there is it had a like life begins at conception definition in a piece of like federal documentation, right? Like that's what that exists to do. Similarly, right? This is targeting trans people, but also has this like little bit of like, we have a really broad definition of state power that we can reference later if we need to other places, right? Things like that.
Right. So the headline is, we hate trans people. And then like,
and to be clear, this isn't
like,
there's been a lot of like, well, they're using trans people as a distraction for all this. It's like, they genuinely hate us. They want horrible things to happen to us. And that is the point. It just also happens to do other things.
Sure. Yeah. Not to say that like this is not the main intention is to stop those people that I don't like looking at to be out in public.
Yeah.
Which is what this bill does. I think it empowers individuals to stalk and harass people. It threatens any state entity with $25,000 fines and attorney general litigation. It's gnarly.
Yeah, so the process that they're establishing here is that like an individual would report a state facility for somebody of the quote wrong sex being in like a sexed bathroom, and then the facility gets in trouble because they allowed that to happen.
And exactly, the facility gets in trouble because they allowed that to happen, and a trans person who gets caught gets a misdemeanor.
Okay, so it's a crime for the individual as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And like we've seen happen in other places, right? The main result from that will just be like, this woman is tall and has broad shoulders, call the police on her.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Kind of no matter what.
How the fuck are the police going to investigate that? Like, that's
well. So this bill gets into it because this bill is just like, we'll determine sex by your birth certificate unless we don't like you, and then we aren't going to look at your birth certificate.
Well, yeah, because your birth certificate, you can change that later, right? In some states, at least,
you can. In Iowa, they tried to change, but Iowa is still one of those states. After this session, who knows? But
I guess you'd have to maybe put security cameras like from multiple angles in every bathroom.
That's what I was thinking. Like,
maybe that's a goal of some of these legislators.
I think that is a goal of a lot of those legislators. I think it probably is a goal of some of those legislature people for different reasons, but
And we need to have a state-owned repository of all the video footage that we get in these bathrooms that any citizen can access, just to make sure we got a lot of eyes on this, make sure that the right people are peeing in the right holes.
Yeah.
It's for vigilance. It's not for my personal enjoyment. It's not that I get off on this. It's that this is a danger to society.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. The Westrich's bill contains a line that's just like, it's a more serious crime if it has some awful, if they decide that you are in the bathroom for quote sexual gratification.
Oh my God.
Which they have already argued. This is what, I don't remember if you got any of the actual like argument from Jeff Shipley's bill last year. But like, that's what he was saying. And that's what the people he brought in to speak on it were saying, was just like, trans women get off in bathrooms, which is insane.
Yeah. It's
clearly.
Yeah. But it's right that their definition of that is already queued up to just be, are you clocking in a bathroom?
Right. So this makes it, you get a misdemeanor just for being in there. But if they determine you're in there because you get off on being in the bathroom, then it's even worse.
You get a serious misdemeanor, I think.
Yeah, it's like a fine up to $5,000 and then like $25,000 on the second offense. Like, it's not like it's, a slap on the wrist or anything.
Oh,
it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, it's It's really bad.
Yeah. So hopefully they pass it with like much smaller punishments, and then it'll be normal.
Well, this is what we mentioned, opinions on Adam Zabner earlier.
Yes.
So
Let's hear 'em.
Last year, when there were a number of like anti-trans bills going through again, we had a record of bills last year. A couple of us went to talk to Adam Zabner and say like, hey, for fighting this, we would like you to introduce some amendments to these bills, right? Like, try to limit what these bills can do. Try to change definitions of things, try to change, penalties. Like, if this is going to pass no matter what, the least awful version of it should pass, right?
Sure. Yeah. Harm reduction, you could call it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The one thing that we were supposed to vote for Democrats for. Right?
Yeah. Right. And he refused, I don't remember if this is a direct quote or if I'm paraphrasing, but he said, like, we don't want to be seen like we're polishing a turd on this one. And it's just like, then what are you for? Like, you can introduce this amendment and then still vote no on the bill.
Right.
Right.
Right. Like,
yeah. And like, it's not.
Why not do what you can?
Right. And that's not something that you can frame as a victory in any way afterwards, but it's also like a reason that people will maybe put some trust and faith in you in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and we've seen this with like the Iowa Democrats refusing to like filibuster or do any like serious legislative tactics, right? It's just this pathetic capitulation constantly.
I mean, is the thinking that like, people are there's gonna be backlash against the Republicans because they passed a really terrible bill? Like, I mean,
yes, that's what they believe.
It's ridiculous. Can't believe it.
That seems to be the national strategy as well. I mean, there's quotes. It
is
like that Andy Bashir quote that leaked this week, where he's like, "Well, look, they got to feel the pain of what they voted for, and then they will learn their lesson." I don't know, man.
Yeah. Like, the cruelty is the point. It shouldn't be a both sides thing.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Well, it's either that or the cruelty is an unfortunate side effect that we can't do anything about.
Well, exactly, right? Like, no, we shouldn't support any cruelty for anyone.
Yeah.
Right?
The only constant is the cruelty will happen. It's got to be part of it.
Yeah.
I do have one more stupid one that I think is kind of a palate cleanser. House File 87. Who wrote this? Who sponsored this? Oh, Wills, our favorite chiller. Representative
Chill
Wills,
with Wills, our podcast.
Chill with Wills
I forgot.
Podcast.
Doesn't exist. Forgot.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we got to suppress any news of other podcasts. He doesn't have a podcast. You should not listen to it.
Anti-podcast action.
It's a bill for an act relating to public access to vertiports.
What the fuck is the vertiport?
A vertiport. So, this is something like a form of like airplane that takes off vertically.
Okay.
Like a VTOL, or I forget what that acronym is. VTOL, which I know about from like Saints Row video
Vertical
games.
takeoff and landing.
Right. VTOL aircrafts. So this is a bill to ensure that like once VTOLs become like a part of our everyday life, the vertiports must be accessible to members of the public, and there should not be like a monopoly on vertiports. It's a very forward thinking bill, and I
yeah, a state takeover of the vertiports.
Like, I think maybe like there might be some military planes capable of vertical takeoff.
Yeah,
but. Not something that you and I are going to have to deal with maybe ever. I don't know if that's going to become feasible for commercial travel or anything.
You ever wonder what would happen to these guys if they just got hobbies? Like if this guy just built model planes instead of doing whatever this is? Right.
Again, he has a special interest. Like, focus on that.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds fun. I mean, but also it's like, we have plenty of rural land. They can, definitely, they have plenty of room for horizontal takeoff.
Right? It's pretty flat out there.
We could do a runway that goes across the whole state.
Yeah.
They could call it Interstate 80.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Start putting planes on there. Yeah. Well, air travel is getting a lot more dangerous, as we've been learning. So maybe we should look into vertical takeoffs and landings. Then you have less potential for collisions, right?
Oh, God.
Yeah. Bad shit. All right. Well, we've been witnessing the horrors for an hour now. We should probably start wrapping up this podcast.
Yeah.
Emma, I'm sorry to say that this podcast will be out too late for us to promote your show.
Come on, to promote my show that's in 8 hours?
Yeah. Yeah. So what else you got
what a
going
tragedy. on? Would you believe not as much? I should fakely promote my job. I'm going to be starting this new thing. I'm going to be what's called the Community Resource Navigator for the LGBT archive. So what that program is going to look like, we're getting it off the ground in the next couple of weeks. On Monday nights, if anyone sort of needs help navigating legal issues around transition or accessing HRT or accessing PrEP or accessing supportive housing resources in Iowa City, or sort of just like any community support resources for the LGBT community, you can come into Lyle on Monday nights and I will be around to help you with that.
Okay, great. It's good to know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of coverage of specifically the anti-trans bills, but a lot of just like, here's nonsense happening in the legislature. Mm-hmm. You can find me on Instagram at the letter M Denney _music, on Blue Sky at whatever my Blue Sky is.
I don't remember.
At lithops, lithops.bluesky.social, and still on Twitter. I was trying to decide whether to do a bit or not, and decided not to. Still on Twitter at lithops effect.
Yeah, I was talking to someone about Twitter last night, how like it seems like we should get off there, but like there's more happening there. The action is still there despite the massive destruction.
Right.
Well, I've been like trying to use Blue Sky, and it's just not like insane in a fun way.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
People are just normal.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Twitter is not really fun anymore either, but it's still
unfortunately, it's just where the news breaks. Like, there's not. If you're into like watching the news, then it's not. Blue Sky is definitely not as useful.
Yeah. Oh, if you're in Iowa City, specifically District C,
yes, ma'am.
There is a primary election on February 4th for the city council special election. Oliver Weilein, cool guy, and Ross Nusser, guy who repeatedly refuses to meet with trans people and wants to capitulate to ICE, are running. Imagine which of those guys are better.
Yeah, seems like a relatively simple choice.
Yeah.
Look, if you listen to Rock Hard Caucus, you vote for Oliver. He's been on the show many times. You know that we're in his corner. Oliver Weilein for City Council, Iowa City. Definitely. A very close friend of the pod. I did want to bring that up here at the end in this plug section. Ross Nusser, the other guy running for Iowa City Council. Facebook post from yesterday. Calls to fight ICE or openly resist federal and state immigration enforcement could cost Iowa City up to $15 million per year in state funding, and even more if the federal government follows suit. Under Iowa Code Chapter 27A, local governments are required to cooperate with state and federal immigration authorities. If the city council prohibits or discourages city staff or police from cooperating, the Iowa Attorney General can take legal action. And if Iowa City is found in violation, all state funding will be cut off. That means losing millions of dollars for public services, transportation, and assistance programs to support our most vulnerable residents. So what does that mean, Ross? It means Iowa City must cooperate with the fascist thugs deporting people. That's what you're saying.
But he's doing it to protect the most vulnerable people in our community because they need those.
Well, and the most vulnerable people in our community, to be clear, are dudes who own a couple of Airbnbs.
This isn't about whether we support ICE or state mandates. And you may notice a complete lack of commitment as to whether he does or does not support ICE. It's about recognizing real consequences and protecting our community. Well, maybe not the whole community, but reckless defiance might sound bold, but it would paint a target on Iowa City, which certainly does not already have a target.
Yeah, what the fuck are you talking about? Fuck this guy.
This is the... Sorry, I'll let you finish.
Okay, I'll finish this and then you go off. Paint a target on Iowa City, giving state leaders an easy excuse to strip away essential funding and invade our city. Because they need an excuse. Instead, we must be smart, strategic, and effective in advocating for and protecting our immigrant neighbors without further jeopardizing their well-being and essential community funding. Okay, give it to him, Emma.
Has he never worked in Johnson County? Has he never? Because everyone knows that if you try to do something the state doesn't like you do, they'll pass a law about it, right?
Yeah.
Like UBI, the section he references, 27A, which makes allusions to like sanctuary cities and things like that, right? Yeah. Like 27B, which is what gets brought up when we tell people to protect trans people. Like it's this constant. Like, if you've done any work in Iowa City and in Johnson County broadly, you would know about this and you would know how this works. Like, you would know that they're going to do whatever they want anyway, and they are paying attention to you, so you should do it, right?
Yeah, I mean, the alternative is just rolling over just, like, every single time.
Yeah, exactly. If it's do nothing or fight the state.
Yeah, and... there's no choice. Like, you have to fight them because what they're doing is evil and must be stopped.
And it's a refusal. To because it's my background and because I do like county trans advisory committee stuff. On these issues, right? Sure, you can't as the city government say we are going to instruct ICPD to not enforce these laws. We are going to instruct, like, you can't literally write that down and sign that and make that an ordinance, right?
Right.
You sure can say, like, we will instruct the city attorney to look to be party to lawsuits about this. We'll instruct the city attorney to, like, look to fight these things legally and to develop legal defenses for the city on these grounds, right? Like, there's things that you are empowered to do to fight back in your job. You just have to do them.
Yep. And I mean, even if you are, like, reluctant to fight and you are afraid of the consequences in a way similar to Ross, I think it's worth noting that this post, like, obviously it's a direct response to Oliver's attitude towards these issues, and he's more radical, he's more willing to put up a fight. I can understand being afraid, right? But I think what you should notice about this post is Ross offers no specifics. Like, what is the alternative? How do you actually help people without catching the ire of the state? What are your ideas on how to do that? He offers nothing. Right. I don't know how anyone could, after seeing this post, how you could be, like, enthusiastically supporting Ross Nelson.
Yeah. Do you think the state attorney general is going to, like, be all in for Ross if he becomes
right?
Like, they don't have your back. They're probably, the fact that you even made this post is probably puts a fucking target on your back.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, I have one last thing to plug. Lex Lotto and the Christine Burke Ensemble releasing the first, last, and only album by this group of people this Friday, February 7th. Go to lexlotto.bandcamp.com. You can get the whole thing there. It'll also be on streaming services, but I would prefer you to buy it on Bandcamp. And we're also having an album release party the next day, next Saturday, February 8th, at one of our favorite places in the whole city, Close House. Oh, by the way, I just released an episode of I Hear, I See Radio with Lex and Christine talking about all this as well. So go back in the feed one episode and listen to that too.
I'm so excited for this album. I pre-ordered it.
Okay.
I'm so stoked.
Have you been allowed to listen to it yet?
I have not. I played with them. I played a couple shows with them before.
I think those were shows that I couldn't play. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the situation.
You're one of the fill-ins.
Yeah, the rotating cast.
Speaking of local music and Emma specifically, I would like to close with maybe some of your music. Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, sure. I said like I had a suggestion ready to go and remember what my songs are called. New album coming whenever I finish it.
Awesome.
But let's try. You could play the track Beginning, I think. Is that this one?
Yeah, we'll do Beginning off of Two
which is
Rivers
on,
in the Underworld.
Which is on, yeah, Beginning is the one I'm thinking of.
Cool.
Nice.
All right, that's
Ending
what you're
the
going to hear
podcast
now,
with
everybody.
a new beginning.
Beginning.
Yeah.
It's the end of the podcast. Here is Beginning by M. Denney. Or I guess
right.
.m is how you release this one.
.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Emma. I appreciate your
Thank you for having
insights.
me.
Yeah, thank you.
And, you witnessed the glory of Terry Branstad, so you're a new person.
Ugh. I would have preferred not to.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.